Okay, welcome to the second video. We created a brush in the last video. We're now going to look at using that brush and what we can actually do with it to create an effect with this picture that I processed. So we've got the picture of the kettle with the flower, which is a little bit arty. I've used a conversion on that, a black and white conversion, and colour popped the flower on there. And it's actually the flower that I want to give an exploding effect on. So let's use the brush to create this. Again, we need to see the layers that you learned in the last video. Right? And select the layers palette from this side. So there's the background layer. Whenever I use Photoshop, I always duplicate the background layer just to start with. So if I right click on the background layer, duplicate the layer, that just adds a bit of extra protection. If anything happens, I've always got the background layer on there, the original, to go back, to step back to. Okay, and what we're going to do with this is to copy the flower by using a selection tool. So the selection tool we're going to use is the quick selection tool that you'll find on the left hand side there. You can see you've got two tools that could be displayed, the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. Make sure we've got the quick selection tool. Make sure that you've got the plus on the options bar, sorry, at the top there, the top left. You've got the first one on the left hand side is to create a new selection. The second one is to add to the selection, and the third one is to subtract from the selection. We want to make sure we're on the middle one of that, which is to add. We've got a brush there, you can see over the flower. Now this is where I'm going to teach you how to use the keyboard to actually change the size of any brush in Photoshop. And if you look at your keyboard next to the enter key, if you look to the left of the enter key or the return key, you've got two curly brackets. And if you press one of those brackets, you'll see the one on the right makes it larger, and the one on the left makes it smaller. So if you just have a practice doing that, we're just going to take the brush down to around that size, something like that. It doesn't got to be exact. And we're just going to click on the flower, making sure that we don't come outside the edge of the flower. You should quite easily be able to, well, on this example anyway, you should be able to get most of the flower without much trouble. Obviously, when you're working on your own images, it depends on what you're actually selecting. But to be honest, the selection in this case hasn't got to be critical. We haven't got to get, it doesn't matter if I've gone over there and I've got this little bit on, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. You can see there. But if you have done that and you want to get rid of that, just click on the minus and you can just brush over that part and just take that area off. There we go. It'll be there. But as I say, it hasn't got to be critical in this case. We just need a basic selection of the flower. It hasn't got to be perfect. And then we're going to copy that by going to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste. And if we look at our layers palette again, you will now see that we've got this flower. It's actually separate from the other flower. You'll see that when I click on the Move tool, so we'll select the Move tool there at this stage, and you can see that we've now got another flower. Okay, so quite easy, that part. Now what we're going to actually do is to use this flower as the little bits of flower that are exploding across the screen. Now to do that, and there are different ways, this is the basic way to start with. We will do other examples of this in later videos where we get a bit more complex, but this is like the easy effect. I'm going to make the flower bigger by clicking and dragging in the corner and holding down the shift key, which will keep the perspective the same. You can see I'm going to make it quite a lot bigger than the other flower, something like that. I'm just going to move it over the other flower Hasn't got. I don't want it bang in the middle. I'm just going to have it slightly coming to the left hand side slightly there. There we go. So that's our flower. And what we're going to do with this is to create a mask. Now, not sure if you've created masks before, but if we quickly look at the layers palette, we look at the little buttons at the bottom of the layers palette. You've got various ones to delete the layer, to create a new layer, and so on, create a group. You've got a fill or adjustment layer, and you can see this one is to add a layer mask. So basically let's click that first, and I'll quickly explain what a mask is. A mask is exactly that. If you put a mask on your face, you're hiding your face. And what this allows us to do, by using two colours, just black and white, we can show parts of the image or hide parts of the image. And you hide parts by having black painted, and you show it by having white. So if we look in this box that's displayed now to the right of the layer, you can see there, if I put the mouse over it, it should come up. It's not going to at the moment, okay, but that's the layer mask. It's all white. If it was black, we wouldn't see the flower, and we would reveal it by painting white onto the mask to show parts of the flower. So basically we're working in two colours, black and white. And just an example of that now, if we go and we change this to black, and a quick way of doing that, if we hold down the Command key and press I, that will invert the colour. And you can see now we've got a black box instead of a white one. You could actually, if you wasn't sure how to do that and you can't master that, just paint it black basically. Use the paint bucket tool and paint it black. That's another way, but that's a quick way. So Command and I inverts the selection. Change the colour basically, inverts the colour. Now if we use a white brush, so basically I need to look at the brush, the colours first of all. The colours on the left hand side, so on our colour picker we need to set the foreground colour so that it's on white. You can see mine is at the moment, so not a problem. And then we select our brush that we've just created, so we click on the brush tool and hold down that, click on the brush tool and go to the options bar, and there is the last brush. That's the one that we actually had there. Just click off there. So that's our brush. Now again, using those two keys that I've showed you before, the bracket keys, we can make the brush larger by using the one on the right, or smaller by the one on the left. I'm going to start off by using a largish brush. I'm going to put it over this flower and I'm going to click once. And you can see magically we've got some bits of flower appeared. And if you look at the layer, the mask there on layer 1, you can actually see some little white bits on there, and that's what we've done. We've painted white and it's now showing those areas that are white, and the black is the area that you can't see. We've masked that area out. So by using this brush, what I'm going to do is change the size, make it a bit bigger, move it in a different area and click again. You can see I've got some more gone there. If I make the brush very small, click in an area, you can see I'll get some smaller particles. So just by using this brush, we've now created the shutter effect. And again, we can copy this layer. What I'm going to do is to apply this mask now. I'm okay with that. That's basically what I want. I'm just going to click once more there. There we go. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to right click and apply the layer mask, and then the layer mask has gone. Basically, we can't use that brush now to add and subtract by using the two colours. And if I click on the move tool, I can move this around. Okay, but I'm going to copy this layer now. So I'm going duplicate the layer, and I'm going to, using the move tool that I've still got on, I'm going to rotate that, go to the corner and hold down the key, and I can rotate it, and I can also make it bigger, so I'm going to enlarge that. Press the enter key. Now you can see we've got quite an exploding flare effect there. Now I want to get rid of some of the areas of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to merge these two layers together. So on the top layer I'm going to right click and go to merge down, and then we've got everything on that one layer. You can see I can move that around. And what I'm going to do with this is to create a mask again, because I've got too much on there. I want to take little areas off. Now I'm going to use the same brush that I used before, so I need to go back to the brush tool. We're now working in black and white again, and if I use black as the foreground colour, that will delete some areas of this. So I'm going to use a smaller brush, and I'm just going to click over the flower, and I'm actually going to drag at times as well, just to remove a little bit and reveal the flower behind. And don't worry if you overdo this, because if you do, basically what you can do is change it back to white, and it will paint it back on. You can see if I'll do this, I've put it all back on, and if I change to black, I can reveal a few areas. Now, by using a small brush and just clicking on some of these areas here, I can get rid or just create smaller particles. Bigger brush down here. So simply by just using this one brush, I'll get some nice effects. There we go. So there's a shattering flare effect, just by using layers and that brush that we had earlier. Okay, so what else could I do? A shattering flare. It'd be nice if we got a bit of splattered blood around as well, wouldn't it? Look great. So if we look at the layers again, I'm going to go and click on the background layer, the top copy there. So the second layer down. I'm going to create a new layer. So next to the bin there on the bottom, you can see create a new layer. I've actually got red selected there, but if I select red for the colour, darker red for a bloody colour there. Okay. Now it's going to look terrible when I do this, but basically I'm just going to use the brush, different sizes. And I'm just going to paint a bit of a... There we go. And what we're going to do with that is to change the layer mode, so where it says normal, you see the word normal there, if I click on there, we've got this list and there's all different effects on there. And I'm going to use one called overlay, and that gives us that effect. Very arty, very dramatic. So I can select and change the opacity of that, so you can see that's without and that's with. It just adds that bit of drama to it. Murder of the flower, I might call this one. But that's basically how to create a brush in Photoshop and put it to good effect. I hope you enjoyed that.